How's it going, everybody? So almost 4 years ago, I sent in a question for Doug DeMuro's Oversteer Ask Doug series, which he's stopped since. I think he stopped it in 2019, but it went on for a while. It was great. You could ask Doug information that you were too lazy to Google, although it took more time to actually email him. But in that sense, I asked him for his opinion, not because I was too lazy to Google anything or check YouTube for my answers, but I asked Doug. It used to be that cars in excess of 100,000 miles were to be avoided, but with the technology and all the advances made in cars, at what mileage would you say stay away from cars? He affectionately called me Oliver. I still go by that name to this day. I changed my name legally. No, but really, he knows George. For some reason, he called me Oliver. I got a good laugh out of it. I will link this in the description below. So in asking Daddy Doug what his opinion was on 100,000 mile, well, actually how long cars could actually last, he said it depends. I was a little disappointed by that answer, but now I completely understand, and I understood back then, quite frankly. It strictly depends on what kind of car you're talking about, because a Ferrari, where it's driven hard, I assume, quality control is excellent from what I've heard, but you're driving it hard constantly, you can't expect it to last long at all. If you have a truck that has been driven on the highway, it's going to last not a problem at all. But really, the final answer was, of course, it depends. And exactly as I tout, talking to mechanics, that's a weird one, okay? You could go on forums, but mechanics, as often as mechanics are nice, you're gonna get half that are really smartasses and, like, expect you to know this because you drive the car. Car owners, a lot of them going to be very friendly, great option. Admins, go to forums, other car enthusiasts. Again, forums are going to be your best bet. And getting on Facebook groups with the same car owners, experiences, etc. Then you have a vast resource at your fingertips. But it's always good to look at forums. And again, he had a point with saying it depends because it depends on the car brand. It depends on a lot of factors. What kind of vehicle it is. Does it have highway miles? Does it have city miles? Eventually, I grew up 4 years ago. I don't know. I was young. I started doing my own research. I got a lot of cars sent. I've been through way too many cars, actually. So I just learned just by doing, by buying, etc. So in that time, I've owned quite a few cars, but the trusty Consumer Reports, not so trusty actually, because when you look at this list, you have Honda at number 5, which has always been known to be one of the most reliable car brands. I'd say third to Lexus and Toyota, personally, just in my experience, to my knowledge, people that have owned vehicles that are Toyota, Lexus, Honda. Toyota and Lexus have always been prioritizing the reliability and quality control over anything else, especially with their lean model. You could do a little bit more research on YouTube with that about that lean model, but we're not going to go too much into that. But if we are trusting consumer reviews here, we're going to look at the 5 most reliable vehicles. The Mazda, surprisingly, I don't know how it made it. They are great cars, don't get me wrong. They've improved a lot over the past 10 years. But I personally want to buy a Mazda just because they depreciate tremendously. And I don't know. It's just a personal preference. But if you like it, by all means, go buy a Mazda, because apparently everybody's having great luck with Mazda. Toyota, needless to say, buy a Toyota all day long, not a problem. Lexus, I love Lexus, the luxury Toyota brand. Of course, you're going to buy it. Buick, always known to be reliable for some strange reason, even though it's a GM product. And of course, Honda. So all 5 are going to be great options today, just by going off Consumer Reports. Snow blowing, so bear with me here. One of the 3 cars I drive is this Acura TSX. Beautiful car. Has been sitting, and I've been totally irresponsible for about 3 weeks not driving it just because we didn't need it. But 192,000 miles. Does have a light on for, I think, emissions, if I recall correctly, but I wasn't too terribly worried about it. Everything works great. It has navigation, a very dated 2004 beautiful navigation, of course, but navigation no less. It is automatic, unfortunately, but it gets around. Heat works, AC blows ice cold. Everything works great in this car, and it has 192,000 miles. Have had relatively no issues with this car. I mean, other than the emissions, of course, which is, it'll disappear randomly. It was gone for about 6 months. Didn't drive it for a long time. I'm pretty confident the cats are clogged based on the research I did and my knowledge. I mean, it has steering wheel control. I mean, what else could you ask for $2,500? Actually, I think it was $3,000. I take the back. For $3,000, get all this car. Drives great. Took it to Iowa. 5 hours there, 5 hours back. Bought it at, I think it was 190,000 miles, and it drives great. Also have this F-150 with 169,000 miles, 169,646 to be exact. It's not too terribly loaded, but I didn't want anything that was spectacular because I didn't want to have to worry too much about it. This truck, when I bought it, was slightly rusty. I could tell that they painted over some of the rust. It's the unfortunate truth, but it doesn't matter how well you take care of these beautiful F-150s. My favorite trucks, you're just gonna have to deal with the rust unless you take care of them extremely well, coat them, especially if you live in salty areas, which sucks because, again, this is a beautiful truck. I installed a stereo that tells me a bunch of information about the truck. If I get a check engine light, that type of stuff. So it's unfortunate, but that's really one of the few minor issues that I've had. Currently, the heat doesn't work. 170,000 mile vehicle, you're going to experience these issues. So it's something to look for. Something to remember, though, like luxury cars, you're going to pay a tax. You're going to pay the pickup large SUV tax of, generally, it's going to be not too terribly more than a car, but it's going to be more regardless. You're dealing with heavy duty vehicles, and you know, it's the fact of the matter, like tires, you could get $300 on a car easily. Goodyear, I mean, they're not going to be like top branded top branded tires, but you're still going to have to deal with the extra price of a bigger, more durable part, regardless of what you're dealing with. The speakers also had to be replaced. Also replaced those from Best Buy. Super easy. There was an adapter that allowed you to just plug it in directly, plug and play, no splicing, no dealing with any of that. They're not as good as I hoped. So I'm probably going to replace them at some point soon, probably in the summer once it gets nicer. The heater is probably going to be replaced here soon as well, because it's still winter. We still have a couple months to go. We do have extra vehicles, so I'm probably not going to worry too much about that. We'll see. My best guess, it's probably the heater core. I hadn't looked too much into it. The part alone is probably going to be easily $200 to $300. If I could replace it myself, it's going to be $200 to $300 period. If I need to hire somebody to replace it, take out the dash, it's probably going to be in the ballpark of very easily $700 to $800, if not more. If I get lucky, find a good, honest mechanic, then it might not be that bad. But realistically, these trucks are amazing. I've had to fix issues, minor issues, and you know, it comes with the territory. When you buy a used car, period, it doesn't matter what kind of used car. I don't care if it's a Toyota or Lexus. My favorite brands, because they are super reliable. I've had a Camry. My sister's had a Camry. I've had a Prius. I've had a Lexus ISF. Currently, I've had Lexus GX 470, not personally, but, you know, family. Sequoias, they last forever. They run forever. So you can't really blame the brand, the truck, the vehicle.
In a lot of aspects, though, when it is important, such as the powertrain, the as far as the engine goes, the transmission, major components like the ABS system, which get expensive. That Acura did briefly have ABS issues that were remedied by a mechanic, but it wasn't even that big of an issue. It just got cleared, done, and taken care of. That part, however, would have been upwards of $500 had it needed to be replaced. I think it was like $300 to be replaced by the mechanic. So something to look for when dealing with luxury cars, dealing with trucks. I mean, that's really, don't get one if you don't want to pay the premium. You could buy aftermarket parts that are a little bit cheaper, but a lot of times, they're not always going to be better. Alternators might be lackluster. And so definitely think about what you want to get. If it's a truck, if it's a brand that is trusted, check out Edmunds, check out Consumer Reports, check out people check out YouTube. There's tons and tons of information out there. Don't just go to a dealership and be like, wow, this car's pretty, and not do any research on it, just buying it on how attractive it is to you. Buy it because you did your research and because for a fact it is attractive, but also it's not going to leave you stranded and it's not going to be a money pit. So something to consider. Thank you and have a good day.